What up, dog? What up? What up? What up? What's good, y'all? What up, people? It is your boy Aaron Duncan here with After Further Review, your Wednesday film breakdown / podcast / all of the above, everything you could possibly need. We're going in depth. I promise you, you're not going to get in-depth breakdowns about your favorite team, aka the Carolina Panthers, anywhere else but here. I hate to toot my own horn, but toot, beat, beat. What up, fam? What's up, chat? What we doing tonight, chat? Give me. I need some likes in here. I need some likes. We got 57 people tuning in. What up? What up? J47, what up, though? Face said he hopping in early. Alorena, what up, though? Brene, what up? My boy I Am Tez in the building. What up, though? Say ready for the film breakdown. Said find a way to keep Chicken Wayne said he find a way to stay up. I am too with this strawberry acai drink. Rails, what up, though? Cam Dog, what's good, brother? What up, though? Josh in the building, what up? Nicole, what up? Dylan, what up, though? Shout out to FPF4. Tyler Jones, what up, though? SSGJ, what up, though? Slick, Vic, what up? So you like that lobby music. Tariq, what up, though? What up? Said Chicken Wayne said Coach Canal is watching the breakdown before we go to the game plan. The game plan better be done. They've been practicing. I'm just recapping. Okay? I'm just recapping. Josh P, what up? Bonnie in the building. What up, Bonnie? What up, Bonnie? Antoine Pearson, what's good, brother? What up, though? Hashtag day one. And you know this. Shout out to all the day one. Shout out to Antoine for real, man. For real, day one. You know what I'm talking about? Kellen, what up, though? Kevin, what's good? What up, though? Key Go Fort, what up, though? Eric Blaine, what up? Dead Pepper, Go Yard. Stefan, what up? Miss Douglas in the building, what up, though? Dana Lowe, what up, though? Gabe Green, what up, though? Right your neck, Taylor, first time catching alive, what up, though? Good that you're here. Again, y'all know how we get down. After Further Review, the film breakdown podcast. If you're live here, you're in good hands because you get to see everything exclusive and live. Obviously, with the copyright hits and stuff that the NFL is out here, like the FBI, I edit this podcast after I remove all the film because now that they have NFL Pro, they hit you with the copyrights if you post it. So I remove it all. But if you like the replay unedited, you can become a member of the channel. All you gotta do is become a rookie to get full unedited replays. If you become a veteran, you'll get bonus film breakdowns. I got a bunch of bonus film breakdowns. I'm gonna try to get up probably tonight, if not first thing in the morning, from this Jets game as well. Of course, 2 different tiers. If you want to become a member just to support anyway, you can go ahead and do that as well. I really appreciate that on my independent creator grind. But again, shout out to the replay squad. Shout out to everybody in the live now. Where did I get that cap before I started? This cap came from 47. It's got the Panther on the side, but it's from 47. They may still have some in stock. But it's the upside down Carolina. Yeah, man. This is one of my favorite caps. Underground West, what up, though? So, guys, we're going to talk about a couple different things, of course, today. So, man, just to look at the agenda, because I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I'm putting together one more clip, so bear with me. I like to do this live production. Shane H, what up, though? But we'll talk about some things. We gotta talk about Panthers news, of course. Talking about Bryce Young's injury. Righteousness has been saying it tastes like victory since Sunday. Hey. It's a good little jingle. But we're going to talk about Bryce Young's injury. It's pretty much the only big news, of course. If you subscribe to Carolina Panthers on Bleacher Report, you've seen my Andy Dalton video today. Maybe I'll post it to my YouTube channel tomorrow. Just talking about what we can expect from Andy Dalton. I'm not going to spend extra time on that because I want to spend time on the tape. Of course, offensive performance. Who's the standout? Biggest issue on offense, of course. Then defense, talk about defense performance, talk about the defensive standout. I actually don't have any problems with the defensive performance. It was one of the better all-around performances we've had. Like, I can nitpick if you wanted me to, but I just have no issue with the defense for what we saw. Yes, there's going to be something better, but nothing huge or major. It was just a pretty good all-around defensive effort from Ejiro Evero, Derrick Brown, J.C. Horn, and this group. A lot of breakout performances, a lot of things to talk about, so we're going to get into it. All right? So, first things first, man. Bryce Young's injury. Practice was today, first practice of the week, open to the media. You saw him probably walk into practice. He didn't really have a limp. He wasn't really walking gingerly, but it looked like he was kind of like maybe slightly favoring. His status is day-to-day. Honestly, seeing him walk to practice, be at practice, do drills, run with the sled with the trainers, even though he didn't throw any passes or do anything, it was actually more progress than I thought. Because I think a lot of people overreacted to the high ankle sprain diagnosis that came out from insiders. And high ankle sprain, I mean, it's typically what, 2, 4, 6 weeks? And so people were like, man, okay, crazy. But he wasn't really a candidate for IR. So that lets you know it wasn't going to be super, super serious, right? Even Ian Rappaport minimized it. He made it seem like the door was open for Sunday. He also said that it could be one game at the least. Now, I will tell you this. What I've learned from my 7, 8 years from creating content, I like to read the tea leaves, right? I like to read the tea leaves. And reading the tea leaves, I don't personally have sources. Sometimes I'll catch something in passing. Sometimes I'll hear something from the grapevine. But y'all know how I get down. I don't really have sources. I don't claim to have sources. That's not my game. But I do know that these NFL insiders and certain media people, I kind of have a feeling on how well connected they are with the Panthers. This is just from reading the tea leaves, connecting the dots. I'll put it out there now. Ian Rappaport has somebody in the front office, an exec, very, very close to David Tepper. And this is not like a leak. I think this is somebody that purposely puts information out to Ian Rappaport. I think he has somebody that, and that's what the insider game is. It's kind of favor for favor. They put out certain things. You know what I'm saying? I think Ian Rappaport actually has a plug in that Panthers building. So I just think somebody probably told him, because he probably had the most accurate prognosis. Everybody else is pretty definite. Everybody else is kind of already ruling him out, at least for this game. And Ian Rappaport's narrative kind of closely mirrored what Dave Canales said. He did say high ankle sprain, but Ian Rappaport was the only person that said that they're going to leave the door open for this week. But best case scenario is what they're thinking is probably going to be one game. And that's what I would expect. And that's what I'm expecting. I don't think he'll play Sunday personally, but to see where he's at currently gives me hope that he'll probably be ready for next week. Like a full 2 weeks to rehab and get it stronger and just keep active. I think he'll be back. I just don't see him playing. He had a DNP today, did not participate, but I just don't see him. I don't see him playing Sunday. I just don't. I don't know. I don't have any kind of I just don't see it. Now, just to stay on the insider train, I think Adam Schefter, who's one of the dirtiest dudes in the game, man. I think he's plugged in with more so some agents. I don't know exactly who he knows. But if you were watching last week, I told you about David Newton and who he may be plugged in with. And then Josina Anderson's another one. Josina Anderson has somebody in the front office. They're not like, they're more of a leak because sometimes they put out information that they want us to know. And then sometimes it's just leaked information. I gathered that information from the whole Ben Johnson situation when he wanted $15 million a year, all that stuff. So just kind of putting those nuggets out there. All that being said, I don't see Bryce Young playing Sunday. I think Andy Dalton will play. We'll talk about the prognosis for the game a little bit after, we preview the Bills game in closing. But I fully expect Andy Dalton to play. Maybe it's some gamesmanship. Maybe they are trying to see where he is. But Dave Canales just seems pretty committed. Like, if Bryce can go, Bryce is going to go. It doesn't seem like much hesitation, even though they've been very, very conservative with many other players, i.e. Jalen Coker this year, i.e. Jonathan Brooks last year in Germany. It just, they're very, very cautious. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't see, depending on how he heals, if he has a DNP tomorrow, if he doesn't participate tomorrow, he's not playing. But a DNP on the first day of practice, it's a walkthrough practice, so it's nothing really crazy. But he's a toesy guy. So when you're on your toes and throwing, you need that strong ankle stability. You're playing on Tepper's carpet. So you got to be able to have your ankles, ligaments, and tendons intact. And you also have to be able to defend yourself. When I say defend yourself, like be able to escape, be able to run around. An immobile Bryce, there's no use of having an immobile Bryce out there that can't move around and run around. Because Andy Dalton, he's not mobile, but he gets rid of the football. So there's a clear mobility difference when they're healthy. But if Bryce can't be mobile, don't put him out there. You have to be able to escape the rush. That's just how I feel. But you guys make sure you give this video a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. I would really appreciate that thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. But yeah, is it Andy's really gonna be bad? I think we'll have that first game. I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save my thoughts about Andy later. Again, if you look at my videos that I post daily on Bleacher Report, you know how I felt about Andy Dalton, what I said today, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. But I want to get to the slides, man. I want to go ahead and get to the slides. I don't want to be before you guys too long. I don't. And I always say that, but I mean it. One quick thing, and then we'll get into the slides. Let me get these slides up, actually. All right. So let's talk about the Panthers' offensive performance. Good old Dave Canales, man. Good old Dave Canales. Let's talk about it. So, Dave, in the offense, I thought the patchwork offensive line did a good job. Probably phenomenal job, honestly, I would say. They only allowed 3 pressures total. 3 pressures total and 2 sacks. 3 pressures total and 2 sacks. And if you go by PFF, they're going to blame Bryce's sack on him. They're going to blame Bryce's sack on him from trying to escape and holding the ball for a certain amount of time. They're going to blame that on him. They won't even blame the offensive line. But, again, great job there. 3 pressures allowed. One of the most, I guess, probably the stronger opponents they faced this year in terms of just like star power and just like Quentin Williams is a beast, guys. And they got some guys at the edge rusher position. Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, some good young talent there. I know they're beat up at the linebacker position, but in terms of getting after the passer, I thought the O-line held up well. I thought Ike Ekwonu had the best game I've probably seen from him in a while. He was dominant in both phases of the game. He got some help, some chips. They put some tight ends to his side a few times. But for the most part, man, he was locking down. He's done a lot better with speed because they have some speed rushers. Ike's done a lot better with speed than we've seen in the past. In the run game, he definitely got out of space a couple times as well. I like what they did with Icky. I thought he had some streaks of looking dominant. But overall, man, the whole O-line was solid. Taylor Moton gave up no sacks. I think Cade didn't give up a sack either. You know, so it was just a solid effort from the O-line yet again. You know, the 6 different lineup in the 7th game. The depth continues to show. I know everybody and their mama has Austin Corbett in the doghouse, but I thought overall for a guy that hasn't played left guard in 6 years and has been on IR, I thought he did a pretty fine job. I'm not, and this is objectively speaking. Again, I know a lot of y'all have him in a doghouse. I think people have been overcritical of him. Personally, he hasn't been great. But I don't think he's been as bad as some want to make him out to be. I'm just going off the tape. Right? But overall, again, Ike Ekwonu, I got to keep saying he was the highest graded. If you're into that, if you're into PFF, because I know they've been under a lot of scrutiny lately. If you're into PFF, Ike Ekwonu was the highest graded offensive lineman. Maybe I'll put probably a cut up maybe of him up for the members. So shout out to all the members on the channel. Again, if you want to join the membership, become a rookie level member, you will be able to get full replays. If you want to become a veteran, you can get the player cut ups and mini breakdowns that I'll do, the bonus content that nobody sees. A lot of people see the film breakdowns live, but only the members get the replay, full replay. But shout out to the replay squad, though. Appreciate y'all tapping in as well, listening to what we got to say, because we speak about it, but the film just helps back up what I'm talking about, right? The film just helps back up what I'm talking about. So let's talk about the next thing. I thought there was a clear step back in play calling and execution. So where do I start? Play calling. There was some creativity. There were some wrinkles. I like the screenplay to Chuba Hubbard. Building off of that, you put a lot of that on film last week. Now defenses don't know how to react. I think you having that built-in screen and downfield throw option to it, they don't know what to defend. Because I think putting that on tape last week with Mitchell Evans taking off down the sideline, what we showed and talked about, you know what I'm saying? Now the defense just took off and retreated. Now you got 3 of our offensive linemen and Chuba Hubbard by himself and nobody around. And they didn't even take off on time. He just said, go, 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 go. You can hear it on the broadcast. So there was some creative stuff like that. There were some opportunities that were also squandered, but I just didn't think the play calling was up to par. We had that early 3rd and 1 where we passed on. I don't mind passing on it, but we went 12 personnel, so we only had 1 receiver on the field. We tried to catch them off guard with play action. They were ready for it, and it wasn't a good design. I don't like doing fake tosses. I'm never a fan of fake tosses. You know what I'm saying? And then the 4th down, we ran the ball, we got stuffed. But also the execution, right? Because I'm thinking back to the red zone where we had 2 guys in one area. XL was kind of freestyling. XL ran an out route. And then you had Jalen Coker going deep to the corner. It was supposed to go to Jalen Coker. For some reason, Xavier Legette pivoted off his route and went down the sideline. So it ended up being 2 guys in the area. I just, when I see stuff like that, I know guys aren't executing and stuff isn't supposed to be there. You got Jimmy Horn open on a deep crosser. Bryce Young tries to get it to him, but he's getting pressured, so he has to step up. He doesn't set his feet. The reason why he got pressured is because Ickey Ekwonu was trying to block. Rico Dowdle tried to give a chip. He ran into Ickey. He tripped up Ickey. So now the defender is coming scot-free. Bryce Young has to step up to dodge it. Doesn't set his feet. Throws it too far. Should have put it dead on Jimmy's chest. But Jimmy also didn't turn his hands over to catch like this. Jimmy tried to cradle it. Ended up getting his bell wrong, and he lost the ball. If you turn it over, squeeze it, and pull it in, maybe protect yourself, maybe you still catch that pass. But it was just lack of execution all around on that play. Missed opportunities for chunk plays. Missed opportunity for chunk plays. Whether it's bad blocking, inaccurate pass, or bad fundamentals trying to catch the ball. So I just thought that it was a lot of, it was just a step back. And like I said, the Jets defense is good. We got to give them credit. Steve Wilkes had them boys playing ball. No disrespect or slight to them whatsoever. But again, the execution just wasn't there. It wasn't. But the game was way closer than it should have been. Them two field goals we took, the red zone drive, we moved the ball down there. It made the game a lot more interesting than it had to be. All right, here we go. The two running back system. Where do we start with this? This is such an interesting discussion for me. Because again, you try to have these conversations. But they're very, very nuanced, right? They're very, very nuanced. These aren't conversations for Twitter. These aren't conversations for just whatever. This is something that needs to be discussed and understood, because obviously there's a lot of emotions, I think, kind of in it. And I say emotions because Chuba Hubbard is a fan favorite. He's the epitome of keep pounding. He's brought himself up from being a 5th round pick by one of the worst regimes in Panthers history, Matt Rule. But he's turned himself into RB1. Career year last year, ended up getting paid. And it's again, Chuba, what he was able to do last year that helped, he was kind of pivotal for our run to finish the season last year, to turn this thing around, for Bryce Young playing better. He was pivotal. Right? But now you have Rico Dowdle come in, fills in when Chuba's hurt. Obviously, Chuba has a slower start. He has the calf muscle injury. Looks like he's still kind of rusty at times. Played through a calf injury. Looked like he had a little hitch in his giddy up. And so once Rico comes in, Rico starts balling. I mean, setting franchise records. Like things we haven't seen. And there's been running back greats that have come through here. Y'all know the names. But Rico, none have been more productive than Rico Dowdle over this stretch. It's actually insane that Rico Dowdle, of all people, undrafted free agent, out of nowhere. Back-to-back weeks. But the discussion all week, people are treating it like a quarterback controversy. Who's going to start at running back? Who's going to start? We need to know. I honestly said it didn't matter, and it still doesn't, in my opinion. It still doesn't matter, in my opinion. But most people just say that Stick with the high hand. Go with Rico. Oh, Rico's fine. Let's trade Chuba. Let's do it. Let's do 70-30. Let's do 80-20. Again, I think it's a little bit more nuanced. Okay, so why? Let's start from the top. Why is Chuba Hubbard struggling? And what's the difference between the two? I said it before, and I'll say it again. They have the mistake early on was thinking they were the same type of running back. They're not. They have a little bit different styles. I think it's starting to be a little bit more clear now that they have different styles. Even the coaches have admitted that much. And so they have different style of runs. Now, there's gap scheme runs, and then there's zone runs. Zone is everybody blocks down, the running back reads the O-line, cuts back, finds the crease. You either go outside, you bend it back inside, or you bang it inside, or you bend it back. There's not one direct path that is like every time, because the zone is different. It's reading the defense. So there's not one certain area that is going to go every time. The running back does a lot of the work reading the defense, reading the O-line's blocks. That's zone blocking. Gap blocking is when you have down blocks. They're using angles. You're using leverage. You might have your guard, Brady Christensen, pull around and lead block. You may have Tommy Tremble, your tight end, pull around from the opposite side of the formation and lead block. You may have a duo where you're double teaming and it's a downhill type of run. And so what's been going on is last year when Chuba Hubbard was productive, we ran a lot of zone runs. That's Dave Canales' philosophy. Dave Canales loves the zone, particularly the mid zone. That's what he wants to build a lot of our concepts on, our play action, stuff like that. That's his bread and butter. And it was successful, right? It was successful. But what happens over the offseason? People get more tape. People make adjustments. People learn your schemes, and they think of ways to stop your schemes. And that's kind of what happened. Let's look at some tape. Let's go to the film room, look at some tape, and look at last year's runs, just to look at Chuba and see what's been going on. So And so they've just adjusted to what we like to do. And that was Chuba's bread and butter. They've even said that Chuba likes those type of runs. They said it. But I just think the pivot this year, because even Rico Dowdle was struggling with those type of runs earlier this year. He was. And so what we put into the system was more gap scheme runs. Again, gap scheme is when you have guys pulling, you're following lead blockers, there's designated areas where you need to go. You just have to set up those blocks and hit the hole with great timing and burst, which is what Rico has done tremendously. He's done it tremendously over the last few weeks, even this past game. Let's follow me, man. Come on. But again, those are the gap scheme type of runs that we've leaned into since Rico has been back. It just so happened that we tweaked our running game the same week that Chuba Hubbard went out. So Chuba hasn't been able to see all these type of runs that Rico has been doing. These are the type of runs that Rico likes. These are the type that he likes. But they're so well blocked, I'm just not sure why they don't give them to Chuba as well. Like, look at these numbers. And shout out to Pro Football Focus. Rico Dowdle here. Look at this. These are the type of runs. Here's zone on the left and gap on the right. If you look at Rico, more gap schemes than zone. They're almost even, but more gap schemes than zone. Look at Chuba. More zone, 11 more zones than gap. And so it's lopsided. It's lean more towards zone than gap. And I understand that he may like them better, but if they're not working, I don't care what you like. We need to run what works. That's all I'm saying. Look at this stat from Next Gen Stat below. Said Chuba Hubbard got a start over Rico, but was out-touched 18-16. The workload split was close. Hubbard started and out-snapped Dowdle 38-32, but Dowdle proved to be more effective. He led in success rate, which was 41 versus 21, explosive rushes, 3 versus 1, and overall production totaling 79 yards on 17 carries compared to 31 yards on 14 carries. So almost double, or not almost, over double the yards per carry for Rico Dowdle compared to Chuba Hubbard. Man, if you just look at the box score, it's simple. It's like, man, Chuba looks washed. Chuba looks like he's not it anymore. Maybe he's a little sore from that calf injury coming back. Maybe he's not fully healthy. Maybe he was rusty. And all I'm saying is, again, why can't we give Chuba Hubbard the same type of runs? Because one, if you only run a certain type of runs with Chuba, defenses are going to know what to expect if he's in the game. But if you give him the full menu of gap scheme runs that you do Rico, they can't key on it. And the funny thing about it is, man, the zone stuff, it's different. I want to show you what's been going on. Because some people, I'm like, and they give it, like you can see, they've given Chuba some of the gap scheme stuff, but you saw how clean stuff looked when Rico was out there. I was joking on internet, but like, it almost looks like sabotage. Like some of this stuff just looks bad on tape. Like when they try to run, when they try to get guards pulled and try to get Chuba going, it just looks bad. Let's look at the film. We tried to give Chuba those type of runs. This is how the O-line treats them. They're not doing it enough. Clearly, I'm showing you the numbers. They're doing way more zone stuff than gap stuff from Chuba. But when we try to run it, it doesn't work because the stuff is getting blown up. And then people are online telling me that Chuba can't do what Rico does. He can't run the same runs that Chuba does. That Rico does. He just can't. And I'm not even trying to disrespect Rico because Rico is doing his thing. He does clearly have more burst right now, whether it's because of injury and he's fresh or what. Rico looks like he's juiced up right now. He's more explosive laterally than Chuba. So I get it. And I'm not saying don't start Rico. I'm not saying he shouldn't get more carries. I'm just saying that a lot of the narratives about Chuba has been ill-informed and a little unfair. A little unfair. Because people are telling me he can't do the runs. What do you mean he can't do the runs? What do you mean he can't do it? We've seen Chuba do gap scheme runs, the same gap scheme runs that Rico is breaking out. Again, now, these are the runs the same runs, the gap scheme runs that we did. Don't tell me he can't run the same runs. Don't tell me he can't do it. They just have to call the same type of plays. Call the same type of plays, and the O-line has to execute. That's literally all it comes down to. You can start who you want. We're going to need both backs eventually. We're only in week 7. It's a long season. The nature of the running back position, the way it is, people are going to get banged up. We're going to need both. We're going to need both. We are. Dana Lowe said we need Lewis. Lewis for sure needs to be back. He's a straw that stirs the drink. He's a straw that stirs the drink. He's a straw that stirs the drink. He's more important to me than Robert Hunt is, but we definitely could use Robert Hunt. You see these runs, the zone runs that I showed you earlier. You saw those. But man, like, come on, man. What are we doing? There's just a lot of misconceptions put put out there, man. So I just wanted to show you guys these numbers that show you they're calling more gap stuff. We're better at gap stuff overall. We're better at gap stuff overall. That's what we turned our running game to. That's what we've had success with over these past few weeks with Rico. But when we calling for Chuba, it ain't working. You got guys running into each other. You got guys getting blown up. You got receivers not making their blocks. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Robert Hunt will be back. They said around the bye week. We got a prognosis today. He said that he's ahead of schedule. We got an update today that says that Robert Hunt is ahead of schedule and he could be aiming for the bye week. He was out there at practice, like working out. He had the brace on, of course. He had the brace on, of course. But again, he was working out. They talking about week 14, around after the bye week, which would be crazy. Crazy. Yeah, we definitely need Lewis. I'm not mad at having Corbett come off the bench for whomever. He did the job. We got the job done. We won. I don't hate him like everybody else does. Yeah, he had some knucklehead plays. But I thought overall for what the position he was put in coming off of IR and being in the position he ain't played in 6 years, he did all right. We got by. But I definitely want Damian Lewis. I want Damian Lewis back for sure. He's probably the most important old lineman to me, like I said, in my opinion. Just because of the physicality that he brings. The physicality he brings. But let's get back to the slides, man. So Bryce Young's performance. Bryce Young ended up 15 for 25, 138 yards, a touchdown before he left the game with the ankle injury. You can see the passing chart here. Nothing really crazy. Nothing really crazy. Obviously, the scramble touchdown. It was a very, very mid game overall for both teams offensively. Bryce didn't turn it over. He had that deep shot to to Jimmy that they couldn't hook up on. Overall, just peppered the ball. We had a couple screens, had a couple passes at the line of scrimmage. It was a very game manager-like game because of Steve Wilkes' defense. I didn't think he played particularly great. I didn't think he played bad. I think there were some things in the red zone that like I said, the miscommunication with Coker and XL were in the same spot. He had that play to JT Sanders. JT Sanders stopped on his route for some reason, and they missed in the end zone, even though JT was open. Just going back to the execution issue I talked about, I don't think Dave Canales called a particularly great game to help out either. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. King Rook said he didn't do his job. He only gave up one pressure. He has some missed assignments. Mental errors happen. I can show you missed assignments for every guy on the offensive line. Even though Icky had a great game overall, I can show you some stuff where he messed up. Shout out to Billy Ambrose on the membership joining. I'm going to do applause. I'm not going to do no horn because I know it's late. Appreciate you, Billy, joining, becoming a member. Big time, big time, big time. Appreciate you on the support. Shout out to Mr. Luke Cage on the super chat as well. Says D. Luke. Appreciate you on the super chat. Said D. Lou saw Corbett and got healthy immediately. Hey, man. We need Lewis. Again, I do think Austin is being overhated personally because Brady didn't play that great either. Appreciate you, Josh, man. Appreciate you tuning in, brother. Have a good night. But all that being said, Bryce's performance, Andy's performance. 4 for 7, 60 yards. His time to throw was 2.26. I didn't put much details up here because it wasn't a pass chart. Andy had 3 first downs on the passes. He did enough to get to land the plane, right? He did enough to land the plane. So, but again, that time to throw is crazy. Andy Dalton does not want to get hit, bro. At his big age, he do not want to get hit. He is going to get rid of the football. If he don't do nothing else, he is going to get rid of the ball. I call Andy Dalton a one-read quarterback because he is not going to hold on to it. He can't run anymore, so he's getting rid of the ball. He's going to read the defense pre-snap, knows who he needs to read when the ball is snapped, and get rid of the ball. He may leave the pocket a little early if it even feels like it's muddy. He does not want to get hit. He gets rid of the ball so quick, he will not let the play develop. He's going to miss some open guys just because he's not going to see them, because the ball is going to be gone. That's how Andy rolls. Now, will it be a lot more timing and rhythm to the passing game? Probably. Let's just hope he doesn't turn it over. But again, he is going to get rid of the football. That's just what Andy does at this point in his career. He's not going to mess around. He's not trying to get hit. He's too old to get hit. He's not trying to go. He don't want them problems. He is going to get rid of football. He is. So we'll see how he's able to play in this next upcoming game. I do expect him to run the offense pretty smoothly. He's not going to have any mobility. I would be surprised to see as much play action, bootleg and stuff as we used to. Pass pro will be imperative because he's not as mobile as Bryce to be able to scramble. So we'll see what the Red Rifle going to do. The breakout performer on offense, standout, Xavier Legette. 11 targets. That's got to be a career high. I didn't check, but it's got to be a career high. 11 targets, 9 catches, 92 yards, a touchdown. Career game for Xavier Legette. And the funny thing about it is, he caught all 60 of Andy Dalton's yards. All 60 of Andy Dalton's yards. Andy Dalton threw the ball 7 times. Xavier Legette was targeted on 5 of those. Whether it was being in the slot, catching the out route, catching a hot route on the blitz, and then the long ball at the end to ice the game. Just that trust ball. And it's interesting because Xavier Legette and Andy Dalton just have way better chemistry than Bryce Young and Xavier Legette. My theory, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm just looking at how they play. When Bryce Young throws a long ball, they're not that floater, moon ball, drop in the bucket type of plays. They're a little bit on the line. They don't get as much height. They don't get as much air underneath them. And when they're traveling like that, it's harder to adjust. You don't have as much time to adjust because the ball is not falling out of the sky. And so I think Xavier Legette, being the concentration issues and hands issue he has at times, he's not going to be good tracking and locating those type of passes. But when Andy Dalton throws it up, even if it's a bad pass, it gives Xavier Legette plenty of time to adjust. He can come back to the football, make the catch, and ice the game. Breakout game from a Jets defense that's pretty formidable. It's going to be pretty formidable. So I personally, and he had the best stretch of his career, even though it's short. He had the best catch of his best stretch with Andy Dalton at quarterback. It happened to coincide with the time that Deontay Johnson was also on his way out and starting to check out. But Andy Dalton seems to have good chemistry with Xavier Legette. Again, 5 of Dalton's 7 throws went to Xavier Legette. He caught all 60 of Andy Dalton's yards. I think Xavier Legette is going to have another solid game, probably this week against the Bills. A lot of it he did in the slot. I also think Jalen Coker could probably make an appearance. Jalen Coker and Andy Dalton have a little bit of chemistry as well. Going back to last year, Andy Dalton was the backup. Jalen Coker was on practice squad. They had a lot of time probably in practice playing together. Obviously, Jalen Coker, he climbed the depth chart because of what he was doing on practice squad. And when he got on the field, he started flashing with Andy Dalton. I think that they're going to have some chemistry. The one person I'm concerned about, though, is Tetero and McMillan. Because we saw them play together a little in preseason. They never really could hook up. Whether it was a drop, whether it was a bad pass, not being on the same page, they just couldn't figure it out. It was weird. It seems like T-Mac and Bryce seem to be like up here. But like with Legette and even Coker with Bryce. But like XL, he can't get on the same page. And that seems to be the same case with T-Mac and Donald. Dalton, excuse me. Good Lord. Whew. That was tough. Dalton. So I'll be curious to see how those things play out. I will be. But yeah, there needs to be credit given. Because people have called him everything but a child of God. And the brother showed up. He iced the game, led the team in targets, catches, and yards, and scored the only game's touchdown. Yeah. Put some respect on his name. Put some respect on his name. But that brings me to my next topic. My biggest issue offensively was the lack of involvement of Tetero and McMillan. Like, we got the shiny new toy. We spent a top 10 pick on him, but it feels like we just haven't given him as much attention over these last couple games. We're not featuring him enough. Yes, I know he's gone against some quality corners, whether it's Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, he had Sauce Gardner. But like, dude, find a way to get him the football. Put him in the slot. The one time you put him in the slot, he's able to move the chains on that 4th down when we needed him to. Just because he has a great corner on him and the great corner maybe getting the best of him, put him in motion. Put him in the slot. He's great in the slot. He's one of the more efficient receivers in the league in the slot. He just doesn't do it enough. He only went in the slot for 9 snaps. That's 14% of the time. If you're leaving him in the same spot every time and not moving around, it defeats the whole purpose. You're not using his versatility. You're not using his size to his advantage. You're not using his skill set to the advantage. The dude has talent, clearly. He's the most talented receiver we have. 5 targets is it's pretty much inexcusable. I'm sorry. Because it's not like you can't give T-Mac a screen or underneath route. And I know you have a lot of pieces. I know you have a lot of mouths to feed. But this is the guy that needs to eat every time. He needs to eat before everybody. Like, this is the guy that you need. Like, I feel like 8. Even if you want to spread the sugar around in this offense, 8 should be the floor. 8 targets should be the floor. And I watched the tape. It's not like he was just locked up by Sauce all game. He got open. He just didn't get the ball. We have to get this man the ball, bro. I just don't get it. I do not get it. And these are multiple weeks in a row where he has 30s. I mean, he had 2 touchdowns last week. Cool. But like, what, 20-some yards, 30-some yards, then 30-some yards now. Like, what are we doing? Like, and I understand we don't want to over rely on him and that his presence opens things up for other people. But his presence can open up stuff for himself. Give him the ball. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. So I want to see them going out of their way to make sure he gets the ball. I want to see them go out their way to make sure he gets the ball. That's what I think. That's what I think. Has a hand said we're winning, stick to the recipe. I mean, you got to be able to spread the ball around, though. I mean, only scored 13 points, scored 1 touchdown. Got to be better. You're not going to play bad defenses every week. You got to be able to have some more answers to the test. You got to. Not saying we need to be the air raid. We're going to run the ball. But if we're going to drop back the pass, let's get the big guy involved, man. Let's get the big guy involved. That's all I'm saying. But all right, let's switch over to defense. Defensive performance. I thought we had another dominant day, stopping the run. Kept them below our average. We were giving up 94 yards per game going into the game. We only gave up 81. We kept Breece Hall under wraps. Kept Justin Fields and Tyrod in terms of running under wraps. The run defense, man, with Derek Brown back, with the guys setting the edges the way they are, with Ashawn Robinson being able to play off of each other, with Trevon Moehrig, man, it just feels like we have a legit run defense at the least. Now, we're going to be tested. People are going to still try to test us. But it feels like they're doing such a great job stopping the run. At worst, we should be able to stop the run or be competitive stopping the run against most teams. We face some good run schemes. Dolphins ain't no slouch in terms of their run scheme. The Falcons, we know what they're capable of when they run the ball. The Cowboys were running it up on a lot of teams. We shut them down too. We're going to continue to be tested. The Bills have a pretty solid run game as well with James Cook. So we're going to be tested. But being able to make them one-dimensional, it kind of helps everything. Because at least if you know they're gonna pass because you stopped them on first and second down, you can scheme up some different coverages, some blitzes. There's a lot more room for error when you're forcing a team to pass. So being able to take away the run to make them one-dimensional is a good way to start. I thought the coverage got a lot better. Obviously, we're not facing the perennial all-star at quarterback. Their best receiver, Garrett Wilson, was out. You're going against a bunch of nobodies, but you did what you have to do. I'm going to give you some credit for handling your business. Because if you got cooked by these scrubs, the sky would be falling. But doing what you're supposed to do, I'm going to give you a little bit of credit there. 2 interceptions from JC. You had 2 drop picks by Mike Jack. I thought our corners had a phenomenal game. 2 beautiful picks by JC Horn. Beautiful. But I just thought the coverage was locked down like it was supposed to against inferior opponent. You dominate an inferior opponent. You did what you're supposed to do. We expected you to dominate because they had so many guys down, and that's exactly what you did. So, handle your business. Handle your business. Last but not least, a breakout pass rush attack. Breakout pass rush attack. 16 pressures, 6 sacks. $16 pressures and 6 sacks. We only had 5 sacks on the season going into the game. We ended up getting 6. And I know I say this a lot on this channel, but it was just what the doctor ordered. Just what the doctor ordered. I say it a lot. I know it. But this is definitely a get-right game to boost them numbers, to get our sack numbers up to a respectable amount. 11 sacks in 7 games ain't great, but definitely a lot better than having 5 sacks in 6 games like we had coming into it. That's for sure. But that brings me to my next film breakdown. I want to look at the pressures. What we did, because we blitzed a lot, but we were able to get home with 4 at times too. Derrick Brown dominated, man. He had, 5 pressures himself? Gordon has 6. I want to look at what we did pressure-wise to get after Fields and Tyrod Taylor. So let's do it. Get uncomfortable, though, and we're rallying to the football. So, man, I just thought the pass rush, some of the designs that Ejiro Evero has cooked up, you got to give him credit, man. The way this defense has progressed from being the worst ever to a top 10 unit, what more can you ask than getting a return on your investment? The guys you spent big money on, J.C. Horn, Derrick Brown, Trevor Moehrig, they hooping. They showing up, whether it's covering, blitzing, stopping the run. You are getting the bang for your buck. You are getting the bang for your buck. I love some of these blitz packages we've seen. Some of those, the design, man, the design of them are crazy. And they're finally starting to execute them. We haven't had a great executed stunt in years, but they're starting to do it. This was not a great offensive line, and a lot of youth on it. They've given up a lot of sacks as well, so it was a get-right game. The Bills' offensive line is way better. You're going to need your best. We're going to need your best against this Bills offensive line. They protect Josh Allen very, very well. The Falcons were able to blitz and heat him up. They blitzed him more than he's been blitzed in like the last 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. They got after him. They made him uncomfortable. Is that what our strategy is going to be? Are we going to try to play coverage? I'm curious to see what Ejiro cooks up for Josh Allen. Josh Allen in that offense with Joe Brady versus Ejiro Evero. I'm very, very curious to see what happens. Who's the breakout performer? Who do you think? Derrick Brown continues to make a case for 1, comeback player of the year, 2, defensive player of the year, and 3, all-pro. It's going to be hard for a D tackle to do it without getting a lot of sacks, but he's running the sacks up now. He's running the sacks up now. It's 3 total sacks on the year. He got 7 total tackles, 3 stops on the run, 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and 3 PBUs. I don't know if you saw him mic'd up on the Panthers channel. They said DB stands for defensive back. The dude has 5 PBUs on the year, man. It's kind of uncanny how good he's able to do it. He's 6'5", 320, 330, something like that. The dude is a beast. And it seems like he's trending up. The pass rush is finally starting to come alive for the first time in his career. So it seems like he's trending up. I don't think he'll ever be an Aaron Donald dominant type of pass rusher, but being able to get after the quarterback, you know what I'm saying? From the interior, ask for more pass rush opportunities. Getting them sacks is what's going to really help him build his resume to be able to get that all-pro or defensive player of the year campaign. I think comeback player of the year, if he keeps this up, that's in the bag. We just got to keep pushing that agenda. Brian Baldinger is giving him recognition. We keep winning some of these games and being halfway decent. He's going to get a lot of love too. It's just when you're trash, you don't get all-pro nods. Frankie Louvu made all-pro last year, but he had worse numbers. He had worse numbers than he did in his best year in Carolina, but he still made all-pro because the Commanders, my apologies, the Commanders just were a better team. You know, but yeah, he's a Georgia boy. He's a Georgia boy. But yeah, man, so let's talk about the Bills real quick, man, before we close out. So it's gonna be tough. This will be the real test. Going against the Bills will be the real test for our defense. We face in an upper tier quarterback in Dak Prescott, but Josh Allen is just probably a notch above because what he can do with his legs. It gives him so much more to defend. Now, they don't have a receiver like George Pickens at all. You're going to see Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer, Khalil Shakir, maybe Curtis Samuel plays, and you're going to get a boatload of tight ends. But it's gonna be more of a balanced attack. It's not gonna be Pickens going for whatever. Will they pick on Mike Jack? I don't know. Will JC shadow? I doubt it. I actually don't mind our matchups on the outside, but again, the scramble drill is where I get worried. When it's time to latch on, aka plaster, and stay with your guys when Josh is scrambling around, are your eyes going to be in the backfield too much? Are you going to stay with your man? That's where I think he can hurt you. That's where I think he can hurt you. But I think the formula is still clear. We're going to start with stopping the run. They're going to try to get Cook going and use the run to set up everything else. Make it one-dimensional. Make it one-dimensional. That's what you got to do. At least take away something. If you can't take away everything, take away something. So starting with the run is a good way to go. They have a great offensive line in terms of pass pro. Pretty good as well in the run game. But I like our guys as well. Because of that man, Derrick Brown. I like him. I like him against most. We have an elite player on our team, guys. We have an elite player on our team. Not to mention Ashawn Robinson, Bobby Brown, they're playing good football. Scorton looks solid as well. Morig is doing his thing. We got some guys. I'm just curious to see how Joe Brady and them dial some things up. They've been on the bye week. You know they're going to come up with some new wrinkles. You know they're going to come up with some adjustments. They've lost 2 in a row. They're going to be hungry. You're at home. You're going to have the crowd behind you. Going to have them black helmets on. I'm ready to see what this defense is really made of. It's going to be a real test. Again, the Cowboys had one of the number one offense in the league at the time. Dak Prescott is a great quarterback, but he's not mobile. He's mobile, but he's not a runner like Josh Allen. So you're going to have a lot to defend. Like I said, they have some solid tight ends, and you know we've struggled covering tight ends. Dalton Kincaid leads the team in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. Trust me, he's on my fantasy team. So I know what he's been on. So I just think we gotta keep up what we've been doing in the run defense. Yeah, James Cook versus our linebackers in space, because they get James involved in that passing game. And you know Joe Brady gonna try something like that. After what you saw Achane catch on Wallace, they're gonna try it. They're gonna try it. So just be very, very aware. I think Morig is gonna be guarding Cook as well at times. I'll be very, very curious to see the strategy of how we deploy our defense. Fortunately, with all the depth we have on the D-line and Morig, we can do a lot of different things. We've put Morig at edge. We've put him at linebacker. We put him at big nickel. He's been a very, very solid chess piece that I feel like they had a vision for. They didn't just spend money on a safety that they liked that was good in free agency. They had a defined role for him, and they're getting the most out of him. Oh, they're like, 2 or 3 deep at tight end, right? Dalton Kincaid. They got Hawes from Georgia Tech. That's a great, more to the blocker than anything. And Dawson Knox. I expect a lot of work between the running backs and the tight ends. A lot of their yards come after the catch. That's the other thing. So we got to be able to tackle. Got to be able to tackle. I think they said over 51% of Josh Allen's yards have come after the catch. Nuts. They give you a lot to think about, man. They give you a lot to think about. Again, you're going to give up some plays, man. This is an elite quarterback. You're going to give up some plays, but can you hang in there? Can you not give up the explosives? They're going to get first downs. They're going to move the ball. But can you limit the explosives, stop the run, and then just go from there? That's what it's going to come down to. And that's been their formula all year. Don't give up the big plays. Make them earn everything. Make them earn everything. No explosive plays, and take away the run. That's where it's going to start. And let the chips fall where they may from there. Let the chips fall where they may from there. That's what I think. But I would love for that pass rush momentum to carry over. But you got to be way more disciplined. That ain't no little dude in the backfield. That's a big guy. That's a big guy. On the offense, man, they have a weak run defense, 31st in the league, and I think in yards per carry. I think we keep the run game going. We'll see what Andy Dalton got in the tank, bro. I'm not going to lie. But I think they play a lot of soft shell coverage. So we have a short pass. We run a lot of short passing game anyway. I think we just pepper them. Stay on schedule. Pepper them with small, short passes. See what we can get after the catch. Pick our spots to take the shots when they're there. But lean on that run. It shouldn't matter who's at quarterback. You could put me back there to hand the ball off if we're going to be cranking. So we need to get cranking. Keep Josh Allen off the field. So Haley's husband cannot have all day in the pocket. Haley's husband. Gotta get after him. Keep him off the field with the run game. I think it's clear. I don't mind. I don't say I don't mind. Am I a little timid about what to expect from Andy Dalton? Yeah, because he looked old in preseason. I'm not gonna lie. He looked old. So he just doesn't move well anymore. He doesn't move well anymore. So we got to be able to run the ball. Got to. But all right, guys, I'm finna get up off here, man. I appreciate you guys. It's been another great episode again. Consider becoming a member if you want to get the full unedited replay, if you're the replay squad. I appreciate everybody watching live the film breakdowns. We talked about the Chuba versus Rico debate. We looked at some blitz packages. I got some other player profiles probably going up here soon for our veteran members, rookies. You can get this full replay for free. Not for free, but you know what I'm talking about. Right? As becoming a member, if you also want to support the channel, you can do that as well. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to my guy Jason chiming in at the end here, man. Appreciate you jumping in the chat. Good talk, bro. I'm finna get up off here, man. I'm getting a little sleepy anyway, man. I love y'all. Holla at y'all. Keep pounding.